We're speaking about the gift of struggle and wonderful book that Bobby Herrera has written, the CEO of Populist Group. And I'd like to share with you something that I actually do not agree with Bobby on this point. I think it's a very valid point, but I did not agree with him, and I want to tell you why. Um, Bobby tells a story about how he climbed Mount Rainier, climbed this mountain. And as he was, and I think the truth is we don't argue on this point, but I'm just going to make my point here. Mount Rainier, it's a very, very high mountain, and they prepared for a long, long time until they were able to do this hike. It required a lot of preparation and very cold and icy and dangerous, in fact. So it was not such an easy hike to do. So at the end of the hike, so only a few of here we found it here on page 132. It's actually starts on 129. At the end of the hike, it was in Seattle in 2008. So only a few people had made it to the top. And Bobby explains, not everyone will make it to the summit. I used to invest a great deal of time and effort in building my teams and put extreme pressure on myself to keep them together. When someone left the company, I beat myself up for days. It's hard when you put time and energy into someone who decides to leave. The feeling of loss is shared by most leaders who care deeply about their people. And we put a lot of effort into our students, into our children, and into our workers if we're in a leadership position. And sometimes they don't go exactly the way we want, but that's fine. That's 100% fine. And in fact, Bobby makes this point, right? Each person has to go in the way that they're meant to go. Not everybody's meant to be a superstar. Not everyone is meant to be on the top. And in fact, being a superstar doesn't mean that you made it. I have some students who are very, very weak and they worked very, very hard and they're not necessarily in the limelight, but they're amazing. I have so much pleasure from talking to them and seeing how they achieved in life. Yeah. It's specifically the weaker students, specifically the weaker child, when he makes it, that is called the top for him. You don't have to be in the limelight to be a great person. A great person is somebody who uses his talents that he was given to the best of the possibility. I was once working with my teacher, Rabbi Shimshon Pincus. We were in his town of Ofakim in the south of Israel, and we were talking about a certain wrestler who had left the yeshiva system and become a wrestler. And in the eyes of the world, he was considered a very successful person. And Rabbi Pinka said that is not necessarily a successful person. He pointed to a young man who was on crutches and was barely able to walk, and yet was devoting his life to Torah study. He said this person is successful. This person has overcome every single odd, and he's made it. Yeah, and he's made it. And that is really somebody who's successful. That is somebody who we could call a true success. And we have to know that success does not mean success does not mean being in the limelight. Success does not mean being the top and in every newspaper and every advertisement and being from the Fortune 500. True success means that everything you do to help people and to make the world a better place and to sanctify God's name in this world as a religious Jew or as a religious non-Jew, to bring glory to God's name in this world. This is really what success is. I was next door to this synagogue a few days ago on Purim. I was by Rav David Kohen, who is considered one of the great leaders today of the Jewish people. David Kohen, the head of the Chevron Yeshiva, and somebody walked in. It was one of my students, and I asked him to say some positive words to him, give him a blessing, and he said one word. He said Hatzlacha, Hatzlacha, and I said, that's it. He said there is nothing more. Hatzlacha means real success. There's fake success and there's real success. Real success is knowing how to deal with people, how to make people feel good, how to make people feel comfortable, people feel good, how to bring a student to his greatest success. Not looking for the person to reach the top of the mountain, but looking for the person to reach his ultimate potential as a human being. And I believe Bobby agrees with me on this. And this is really it's a verse in Proverbs and Mishlei. Chanoich lenar al pi darko, al ken ki yazkin lo yasir menu. You should guide a student according to his way. And that way, when he gets older, he won't leave it. If you try to imprint yourself onto a student, he won't be successful. If you try to find his own strengths and hone them, That's a successful student. In fact, once when I went to start my own institution, I went to speak with a very wise person, Rav Leuchter, Rav Ruben Leuchter. And he said, why, he was a Swiss, why do you want to start a kollel? I said, because I want to give to people. He said, that is your first mistake. He said, you don't give to people like this. You give to people like this. Meaning you don't take your energies and your abilities and try to imprint them on other people. You take their strengths and you try to hone them. That's real success, and that's a true student. So we should all be successful in this endeavor of guiding our students and our family and our coworkers and whoever we're involved with to true success, to finding the potential that exists within themselves to bring out the greatest possible glory of God that they can bring in this world. And that means, first and foremost, identifying your own strengths, knowing who you are, what you want. What do you want out of life? The famous Kotzker Rav, who was one of the pioneers of Hasidic Jewry, he brings an unbelievable idea. As Joseph was heading towards Mitzrayim, before, as we mentioned in a previous class, he was thrown into a pit and almost killed and sold into slavery. He was met in the field by the Malach Gavriel, and he asked him, Ma tevakesh, what do you want? Says the Kotzker Rav, the rabbi of Kotsk, before you do anything in life, you have to know, what do you want? What do you want out of life? What are you looking to achieve? What are your goals and what are your strengths? And how will you do it? You have to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan. I remember a clown once told me when I was younger, Dan, the man, you need a plan. And that stuck with me. So let's all try to think of where our strengths are, how we can help other people, what we could do. And just the truth is, just a smile. You see a guy in the street, he looks depressed, smile at him. Just give him a good word, strengthen him. I'll finish off with a very interesting story. When I was 14, I was mugged on the subway by 5 people. And I was like, oh no, like what am I going to do? I have no money. This is crazy. I got in the last car of the, I think it was the number 1 train coming down from Van Cortlandt Park to Mid-Manhattan. I was mugged by 5 people. And I was like, what am I going to do? I have no idea. I just like surrendered myself into God's hand. A miracle happened, and I just started acting like I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. 4 of them walked away. The last one, who I think was the leader, he was wearing the most chains. He started telling me his problems, opening up to me. And I just completely switched gears. I said, you know what? You can make it. He said, I was in John Jay College. I was studying law. I got a big drug addict. I said, you know what? You can turn your life around and make it. In the end, we shook our hands. Even a mugger and a drug addict, yeah, you can give him positive words and send him on the right way. Remember, there's nobody too low that he can't do it. The Talmud speaks about Eliezer ben Dardier, who reached such great low heights that there was no one to help him. And he said, it's only me. The only one who could do it. The only one who could pick me up from the greatest heights is me. We can help people, save lives, and we can make the world a happier place.